The story of good luck to you, Leo Grande, 2022. In a hotel room, Nancy Stokes welcomes a young sex worker named Leo Grande. Nancy is anxious, having booked him online in a rare moment of self-indulgence within a largely repressed life. Nancy explains that her husband, who died 2 years ago, was the only sexual partner she ever had, and their sex life was extremely unfulfilling. Her husband never allowed her to perform oral sex on him, or performed it on her, declaring the act to be demeaning to him. Nancy has never experienced an orgasm in her life, only faking them for her husband during the passionless missionary sex they never deviated from. Nancy is also embarrassed about her physical appearance and age, which Leo has no qualms about and encourages her to embrace. Nancy talks with Leo so she can be comfortable enough to be physically intimate. She shares details about her adult children, whom she feels disappointed by, and her previous work as a religious education teacher. Leo reciprocates with some details about his life, including that his mother believes him to be an oil rig worker. Despite hiding his actual job from his family, Leo expresses no shame or regret about sex work, considering it a necessary service and assuaging Nancy's embarrassment over hiring him. Nancy relates the most sensual experience she ever had was as a teenager on a family vacation in Greece. A hotel worker took an interest in her, and while they were alone in the hotel garden, he began kissing and fingering her before being interrupted and running away. Seeing Nancy aroused and relaxed by her own story, Leo fingers and kisses her. A week later, Nancy meets Leo in the same room for a second session, having been satisfied despite not achieving an orgasm. Nancy presents Leo with a bucket list of sexual activities she wishes to experience for the first time, beginning with the blowjob. However, Nancy is again anxious about being intimate with Leo. Her nerves are worsened by phone calls from her daughter, who has overly relied on Nancy since her father's death. Leo relaxes Nancy through dancing and a massage. When Leo advises her to not obsess over finishing her entire list of sex acts in one night, Nancy talks about sacrificing her youth and potential adventures for her family. Leo reveals he has a younger brother in the military, from whom he is estranged. Leo suggests Nancy book more sessions to reduce the pressure she is placing on herself to perform. This offends Nancy, who accuses him of trying to make more money off her. She asks Leo why he does sex work, and he explains he gets genuine pleasure from seeing his clients be pleasured, whoever they are, and whatever their preferences may be. Nancy sees Leo becoming aroused as he describes his work, which in turn arouses her, and she finally performs fellatio on him. Nancy books Leo for a third session in the same room. This time he performs oral sex on her, the second item on her list, which she enjoys but still doesn't bring her to orgasm. Nancy attempts to pry Leo for more details about his life, which he deflects, saying that he is there to provide a fantasy and nothing more. Nancy admits to cyber-stalking Leo and uncovering his real name, Connor. Nancy asks if they can be friends outside of these sessions, encourages Leo to tell his family about his work, and even offers to speak to his mother on his behalf. Upset at Nancy's invasion of his privacy, Leo gets dressed and tells Nancy to never book him again, threatening to expose her as a client if she attempts to contact his family or reveal his personal details to anyone else. Shortly after storming out, Leo returns to retrieve a cell phone he left in the room. Before finding his phone and leaving, Leo admits his mother disowned him when he was 15 years old out of disgust for who he was and tells people he is dead. Nancy books Leo for a fourth session but arranges to meet him in the hotel's cafe so she can apologize to him and say goodbye. She takes responsibility for her behavior and admits her real name is Susan Robinson. She thanks Leo for making her feel confident in herself and sexually awakened. She has recommended Leo to several women within her circle, whom she believes desperately need his services as much as she had. In turn, Leo reveals the reason his mother disowned him is because she caught him and several friends having group sex when he was a teenager. His mother will still not acknowledge his existence, even walking past him when they recently saw each other in public. However, Leo revealed his job to his brother and they are beginning to talk again. A waitress named Becky turns out to be one of Nancy's former students and interrupts them to tell the story about Nancy chastising her and her friends for wearing short skirts to school, calling them sluts. Nancy apologizes for her past judgmental behavior and confesses her relationship to Leo, recommending his services to Becky as well. Nancy invites Leo for a final session in their hotel room upstairs, where they passionately engage in all of the remaining sex acts on Nancy's list. Despite going through all of them, Nancy is still yet to orgasm. While Leo looks for a sex toy he brought to help, Nancy watches him walk around naked and begins to masturbate, giving herself her first orgasm. When Leo leaves the morning after, Nancy thanks him and tells him that this will be their final session as she doesn't need him anymore. Alone in the hotel room, Nancy admires her own naked body